in state capitals, there are few times in our democracy where the lines between politics, power and security are so tightly drawn. Tonight, we bring all of that into one conversation with a key player, the governor of Nasarawa State, a growing mining hub, battling its own share of insecurity, and a state now also receiving members of the opposition to the ruling party. He's no stranger to this show, but tonight we dig deeper. Live from our studio in Abuja, Governor Abdullahi Sule, thank you for joining us again on Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Governor, let's begin with the breaking news. The top-level reshuffle in Abuja has now changed the faces of those who will coordinate military responses across the country. What do you make of this development, being the second in a little over 2 years?
I think first and foremost, anytime you have these kind of changes, there are routine changes that you will see in the military, especially when you are having some movements, not completely, removing everybody out. You are just having some time reshufflement. You are moving one person from one place to another, and then the military intelligence, you are even not touching the gentleman who is there to continue. What I know for sure is that Mr. President is always talking about security. He's very concerned about security and is following up. Just yesterday, Mr. President actually participated at the NEC meeting, which I was there, and Mr. President also brought out the issue of security and the training of the personnel who will be securing this nation. And he was concerned about the police training. And he set up a committee, which I'm lucky to be one of the members of the 6 governors, that have been set up that are going to go around this country, to identify the needs that are required in every one of the institutions that require training of our police officers, as we are engaging more officers to do that. So if you see that Mr. President will come to a meeting of the NEC just to discuss about something like that after the swearing in of the new INEC chairman, then definitely Mr. President is very much concerned about the security. And so this change will not be anything new or surprising, especially to some of us, who have seen that.
And it sounds like you're also privy to the inner workings in the presidency in this regard. The military has dismissed rumors of a failed coup, even as reports emerged of 16 senior soldiers being arrested. Now we're seeing a reshuffle weeks after. How's the political class processing this development?
Well, politics will always be politics, and people who want to play around with, who want to politicize security will be in a very unfortunate situation, because security is responsibility of every one of us, and Nigeria has to be secured before anybody can lead. Leadership will come in only when the country is secured. So I don't think it is an area where anybody is interested in politicizing it. So, and changes, when it comes to changes in a situation like this, I'm not a military person, I'm not a security expert, but I've always had meetings with, I tell you, in my state, for instance, since I came as a governor 6 years ago, I have had over 6 or 7 directors of DSS, 4 commissioners of police now. So many generals that have come either for wild stroke or special forces that have come and moved. Just recently we had one of the generals that has been moved, from there. So we continue to see this all the time, and I believe this is also the same that you will continue to see. So if we see a little bit of change in order to improve the security of the country, most likely, more people have to be brought in, more people have to be moved around or something like that. For me, with my little knowledge of security, that's the way I see it.
Let's talk about what you think this change would mean for Nasarawa as Chief Security Officer and perhaps the North Central region. You recently warned that a new terrorist group has emerged at a recent expanded State Security Council meeting you held. We've seen kidnappings now rampant in places like the Lafia-Karu axis. Your own aide recently was abducted. You also personally acknowledged that old strategies may no longer be working. Will you be asking for or expecting specific commitments from the new federal military leadership in this regard?
Yeah, I will just make a few corrections. You know, first and foremost, we didn't say that kidnapping is rampant in Nasarawa State because we are not used to insecurity in Nasarawa. Every time they kidnap one person, you see, we are very worried. Every time we hear one person is killed, we are very worried because we are not used to this kind of insecurity situation. So it can go for a whole 2 weeks, 3 weeks without any kidnapping. But then 2 days, 3 days in a row, you know, you can hear some kidnapping, and then we get worried, and then we get panicking. So for us in Nasarawa, every time we have situations like that, you know, we come together, and then we don't say that the plans, the current plans are not working. Instead, we say we have to review what we are doing, and we have to improve on that. And in most cases, it's provision of more equipment that is required, improvement of the technology we are using for security, engaging more personnel, engaging more other stakeholders, you know, to do that. So those are the kinds of things we do. So those ones are reviewing and improving our security architecture. It's not necessarily saying that what we are having is not working. What are we expecting from the current people who are there? As I said, you know, the CDS, the new CDS is actually not a new person. In fact, he was in Nasarawa recently, you know, so, and he came in because there was a movement of an institution, you know, of the military from one of the states in the east, in the northeast, you know, down to Nasarawa State for training. So he's somebody we are very familiar with, and we believe very strongly that he's very familiar with our situation in Nasarawa and indeed in the North Central, and we believe it is also going to be positive direction for us. You know, so I don't think it is going to be anything different. Right. It's just that we are expecting there is going to be more attention, more improvement, and things like that.
But Governor Sule, what are you doing specifically to address concerns of sabotage in the system, with reports that certain stakeholders seek the release of detained kidnapped suspects in Nasarawa?
No, but exactly, that is right. You know, in fact, that's the whole essence of the last meeting we had. Because the last meeting we had, we were informed, you know, sometimes from the social media, sometimes from text messages, that you will hear that some kidnapped victims that were taken to detention, you know, of the police were released. So, of course, we had to invite, you know, the head of the CID division, you know, the police officers in charge, everything, and sit down and say, hey, this is the problem we are facing. What are you saying? And then they also complain that sometimes they are not the one releasing them. They go to court and they get bail. You know, so we now invited the judges. In fact, we invited the CJ, you know, to be part of the meeting. She was part of the meeting, you know, our chief judge of the state. And then we discussed that. And now there is more synergy between them. So now we set up that there are all the three have to work together. Our State Ministry of Justice, our police prosecution unit, you know, and of course the CJ's office, you know, to monitor, you know, if there are some foul play between some of those people that are being released. And so far, we have not had anything negative anymore.
Governor Abdullahi Sule, let's take a short break. When we return, we'll talk politics. Stay with us, everyone. Governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, thank you for staying with us on Beyond the Headlines. The political map this year has taken a different shape. We've seen a handful of your brother governors leaving their parties to join yours. APC now has about 24 in my last count. In fact, we had the information minister boasting the other day that your party will get as many as 30 by next year. At what point do we begin to worry that these defections reflect the weakness of our political institutions rather than the strength of the APC?
You know, I have mentioned this 1 year ago, and I'm happy that I'm back here discussing about the same issues. What every governor wants to do is to be able to improve the position of his own state, to impact the lives of the people in the state, and to do everything that it takes, you know, that based on the promises that the governor before election has made. Now, what Mr. President has done, you know, because of he is a long-time politician, he is a very experienced politician, you know, is to ensure that he treats all these governors irrespective of political parties. You know, you are supposed to get a certain provision, certain support, certain attention, he gives it to you. So it ties the governor not to be able actually to cooperate. The governors are seeing more resources today. And each time I say that, sometimes it's misunderstood by some of my colleagues. And because I was a governor during another administration, and I'm a governor now, yes, I'm aware of inflation. Yes, I'm aware that inflation went as high as 30-something%, and now it's down to less than 20%. And now I'm aware that the direction the economy is going, most likely we may end up in the next 1 to 1.5 years into a single-digit inflation. So these are things I'm very familiar with. So when I'm talking from that point of view. So every governor in this country today, and I said that 1 year ago, that is receiving more resources. The federal government itself is receiving more resources. The local government councils are receiving more resources than what we used to have. And based on what we used to have, the governors are able now to freely operate. And I always give example of my own state that I know. Since I came, in these last 2.5 years, I have not borrowed a penny, yet I have done more projects in these last 2.5 years than I did in the first 4 years.
And I hear you clearly, Governor. Allow me to jump in just for a minute. Yeah. We've had this conversation a couple of times, and I understand your position on this matter. But I also want you to react to what critics are saying, because what they call this, your position is similar to the narrative that, it is Mr. President's policy that is making the governors leave for the APC. But your critics call it a defection of the elites. How do you respond to the school of thought that your party might be getting the governors, but not necessarily the goodwill and support of majority of the electorate, the average Nigerian people who are at the receiving end of government policies?
And that's exactly the point I started making. When governors are receiving more resources, the governors are able to impact the lives of the people. When you keep saying these people, who are the people? It's the same people that elected the governors. And these governors are doing everything possible to impact the lives of those same people. The governor is not doing anything to impact the life of his family. It is the same people that we are talking about. If a governor is doing something, a project, is doing an empowerment, is doing some human capital development, is providing better health care, is providing better education, is for the people, it's not for his family. And it is the same people that they are talking about. So if the governor is making the life of the people better, how are now going to say that, what the governor is doing, he is the only one moving? Now, you go to some of those states. Yesterday, I was with one of the governors, my dear friend Peter Mba. When he moved along with all his people. The Governor Sharif from Delta, when he was moving, I was there. He moved with all his people. So which people are you talking about? I think that's the idea.
And I'm hoping that, Governor Sule, I'm actually hoping that the people can corroborate with you across the length and breadth of Nigeria that with this improved revenue have also accompanied improved quality of life. But let us talk politics for a minute. Your colleague in Bayelsa, Doye Diri, left the PDP about 10 days ago, but is yet to formally join another party. Do you think he's growing cold feet to join your party, the APC?
Our arms are open, and we're waiting for him. I don't see him going anywhere else. I think any which way is up. You remember the movie. I don't think he will leave PDP to go to another party other than APC. And I don't think there is anything like that. But there is no pressure. And I don't think we are going to be a one-party country. There is nothing close to that. I do know I have a few friends who are in the opposition who I know, based on their conviction, they are not likely going to come to APC, and we agree to disagree. There is no problem about that. But even them talk positively about the APC and what the president is doing.
It's just that the situation is a little bit different, because you mentioned Peter Mba. I was in Enugu when he defected, announced that he was leaving the PDP and also joined the APC, and we saw APC stakeholders there handing him over his registration slip. Some read Bayelsa State Governor silence as hesitation or cold feet. You mentioned that your arms are open wide, but can you confirm his impending defection is to the APC?
No. I can't confirm that. I'm not in his mind. You know, I can't confirm, and I'm not the national chairman of the party either for me to confirm that. You know, but I do know he's a very good friend, and he's somebody who has always worked. Like, I wanted to ask him that yesterday, but unfortunately, his deputy was the one who came to the meeting yesterday, the next meeting. He wasn't there. You know, so it's those kind of areas that you have to be able to talk to people, but he wasn't at the next meeting yesterday. So I don't have a direct answer to give you yes or no, but I can tell you, you know, like I said, you know, every which way is up. I cannot see him going to, which other party can he go to, you know, after leaving the PDP?
There are many parties. There's the new ADC, okay. There's SDP, there's Labour Party. In fact, we have tens of them. But let us bring this home to Nasarawa, Governor Sule. You recently welcomed Senator Wadada into the APC. You also now have about 15 members in the House of Assembly. But the other two senators are still in opposition. Do you see anything change soon?
No, not at all. And just like we are seeing at the national body, we are also seeing that at the state. Remember, we started only with 9 members of the House because of all the challenges we had in Nasarawa. You know, Nasarawa Plateau had huge challenges during the 2023 elections. So it was very, very difficult a situation to manage. No cash to do, nothing whatsoever. We had all the challenges. But at the end of the day, today we have 15. So we have a very comfortable number of the members of the House of Assembly. But more importantly is that all of them, all the 24 of them are working together as a team. You know, every time they come to me as a team, and some of us are copying what Mr. President is doing. I treat every one of them as representative of the people, irrespective of their political parties. And so freely they are coming, and we expect also more coming in Nasarawa State. And it's the same thing, the one that you will always hear is that of Senator Wadada. But also the gentleman representing the northern zone, you know, Senator Akwashiki, is just that he is not feeling too good right now. If he was, he will have been another person that is moving into our party. So I think those are the kinds of things that you see. We're just actually replicating what is happening at the national level right there in Nasarawa State.
Indeed, and there are concerns about whether or not the APC in Nasarawa has learnt its lessons, that perhaps you may not have given the most popular candidates the tickets, and I'm referring to the senatorial election. You know, that perhaps you have learnt your lessons and you're going to do differently come 2027. But I want to get your thought on, because the big question on the mind of people has to do with people who want your seat come 2027. You know, that number now has reportedly risen to 28. What do you make of that? I am learning from what we did wrongly in the year 2023, and that's why you see that no matter the pressure that we are getting, I refuse to say forward. What I tell every one of them is that I have nothing against any one of you, and every one of you, the tallest guy among us or the shortest guy among us, no. We are looking for somebody that cares about the people. The people love that person. The people also will vote for that person. The people, all of you are in APC, so all of you are my brothers and sisters. But I'll put that aside because I want to win election. So my number one requirement is to win election. So I allow them their own going around, and I'm also hearing, you know, from the people who they like, who they don't like. At the end of the day, that's what we did. So since that's the direction I've taken, you will understand that we are learning from 2023. There's a strong agitation in Nasarawa that power should shift to the west, Nasarawa West. Do you subscribe to that idea? Well, you see, I say that and people misunderstand that, and that's why some of them are making negative statements that they are thinking I have taken position. The idea is that in Nasarawa State, zoning has worked for us. And I am actually a product of zoning. If not for zoning, our zone is the smallest zone with only 3 local government areas with the lowest number of voters. So if not that zoning existed and zoning was favored, I probably would not have been a governor. So at the national level, I was at the center of saying that the North has been there, the late President Buhari, 8 years. Therefore, this must go to the South. And now you have President Asuwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu from the South. So I cannot be actually a hypocrite. Right. At the national level, I say I believe in zoning. And then at my state level, I say I don't believe in zoning. You know, so people who are doing that are people who are, it's just self-service.
So since I believe in zoning and it has worked and I'm a product of that, if I believe that at the national level, I should also be bold enough to say I believe that at the state level. And it's people who don't like that that are just telling you that. So, but
That's
you know, I'm not the one to make a governor. You know, God Almighty is going to select our governor. But I should be able to say, this is what I believe and this is what I like. At the national level, I believe that. And that's why anybody who wants to be president now from the north, I say, please, I don't think it is the right time.
All right.
We have been there for 8 years. Please, we should allow Asuwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do his 8 years so that we can have peace, you know, in Nigeria. So that's just my belief.
Governor Sule, we're pressed for time. In fact, we have completely run out of time, right? But if you can, in a minute, just mention to us when you're expecting President Tinubu to commission that 6,000 metric ton lithium processing plant. In 30 seconds, if you can.
In fact, we expect him any day from now. As far as the factory is there, it's ready. As far as the promoters of that factory, some of them, in fact, had come from China. They are ready. They are waiting. Just yesterday, I spoke with the Minister of Solid Mineral, who happens to be in China at the moment, and is on his way back. And he is the one who's following that, and we are really looking forward to Mr. President. And we thank Mr. President that he has already awarded the contract, you know, from Kefi to Nasarawa, which is the road that is even leading to where we are doing that. So thank you very much.
Governor Abdullahi Sule, thank you so much for talking to us on Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you so much.
That's our show today, everyone. You can watch it again at midnight and 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Do have a lovely weekend.